Good afternoon, peoples. This is Bobby Hill with another I'm sorry, getting tongue tied already. This is Bobby Hill with another episode of The Big Damn. I'm glad to see y'all here today. Glad for y'all to join me. Here, it's 4 o'clock, San Antonio. On the East Coast, probably 5 o'clock. Everybody getting home from work. Hope you had a good day today. Hope, you're one step closer to your dreams or your goals in life. Hope things are working out for you. Hope things that you were put in place to help you out. I hope they're working for you. You know, and just hope things are just looking up for y'all because it's just so much doom and despair out here in this world. And it's good to find a real sunshine, a real light. You just find it in any way you can get it because there's so much damn you know so much doom and gloom. You know, everybody telling you how everything gets so bad, everything just going to hell and everything. But you know, people people make careers off of making people scared, off of fear. Fear of the other, fear of the unknown. People make millions off of doing that. Companies, media companies, everything, they sell fear. You want everybody to be scared. So they go buy stuff they don't need. You know, that was a lot of these people deal off of. They get they remain in power. Why? Because they keep people scared. Scared of what? Scared of their own neighbor. Why are they scared of their neighbor for? No reason. Because his damn skin got more melanin than theirs, so they scared of him. Stuff like that. That's things that we have to go through today. People just trying to, you know, play us for fools, making us think that everybody's after you. See what I'm saying? Nobody likes you, or the system is against you, and all this stuff, and they just ram that stuff in your brain all the time, and now they got this, got people scared, especially people who not don't have the foresight to go look up stuff or go educate themselves, and they depend on Fox News or wherever to educate themselves, and a lot of times they're getting their education from or getting their news or their sources from getting their whatever from information from sources that are you know obvious that their goal is to try to incite and try to divide. So just keep an eye on that. As they say back in there, keep that third out. Watch what's going on. Watch for that okie doke. Watch for the people trying to get you all scared and get you spend your money and stuff. And then as soon as you spend your money, you get an email next day. Give me $5. The Democrats are socialists. Give me $5. Just it's crazy mess, man. Just in this world we live in, man. Just things are just you know not people, or I guess Trump did his job whenever he so I mean there was already distrust between the public, the media, and the government and stuff, and Trump just sowed that seed, and now just so much distrust with the media and the public and the government. It's just just a mess, just a mess. As they say, a little bit clusterfuck. And that's exactly what it is up here, man. Because the polarization. Can't nobody, nobody can't talk to the other person. They can't talk across the aisle. And if they do, they seen as traitors and stuff like this, man. And no wonder our government is grinding to a halt, a standstill. Nothing gets passed unless you have to have a super majority to get your stuff through because they're not, each side are not trying to work with each other. They're not trying to, come up with a common solution. All they want to do is blame each other, which is crazy. But I'm saying the Republicans, y'all have control of all three branches of government, and so when there's a shutdown, that's y'all own that. It's not a Democratic shutdown. Y'all own the White House, you own the Senate and the House, and you got the Supreme Court. So anything that happens with y'all is y'all own it. It's what you want it. You want the power. You got to take the good with the bad. Don't sit there and blame other people while you sitting up here like an idiot up here following a 80-year-old man down a damn rabbit hole that he don't even know how to get out of. But I guess they want to be part of the base or part of the in crew, so I guess they do what they do. Couldn't be me. No, so like I say, all this fear and division and stuff and all this, it's crazy. Just like, actually I do with DoorDash and stuff, so I'll be going in and out of restaurants and grocery stores and stuff. And so today I had this little incident where I had to, pick up something from, McDonald's. It wasn't that big. It was small. Somebody ordered a value meal, breakfast value meal, or something like that. It wasn't a lot of stuff. The order wasn't even a lot of money. But I went inside McDonald's, the first time, I went in there, and the first thing I waited about 10 minutes. I was sitting there. They knew I was there for DoorDash. It's my first time. It was not my first time going there, so I went in there and I sat there for a while. Stood there for about, about, about almost, I would say 10 minutes. That'd be a little long. Probably between about 5 to 7 minutes. I sat there just waiting, and I'm not a little person. I'm a person, if I'm in the room, you used to know I'm here. So I'm just sitting here waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. And that's just lady that works for him. She's probably about, man, I'm not exaggerating, man. She's not a midget, but she's probably about 3'7". So, when I first got in, she was like, somebody to be with you. So, whatever. They working on your order. She didn't ask anything. They'll be with you. Or they're working on your order. She didn't ask what I was there for or nothing. So I was there. I was there waiting and waiting and waiting. After a while, after people taking over and everything, I said, she was like, can I help you? Knowing that I've been sitting the whole time, she was like, can I help you? I said, yeah, that's my order right there. I need to get that. So when she got the order, I couldn't see the receipt. So I got the max receipt for what the order I got. So she turns the order around while I couldn't see the receipt, and she holds it. Like, let me see the order. Let me see the order. I said, you need to turn this around so I can see the receipt. Let me see the order. Let me see the order. So, right, I just flash phone. Here you go, whatever. Then she turned it around. She was like, well, you need a whatever, verify your order and stuff like that. So, normally, we verify orders, whatever we get up, but she was holding that order like it was hers. A fucking $3 value meal. She was holding it like, don't know. Like, she made it. Like, don't know. Like, it came out of her personal money to make the order, man. It was just so crazy, man. And she just, oh my God. I'm so pissed off. I was this close to start. Luckily, I was looking at the other employees and I was like, can y'all get this woman right here, man? This woman crazy, man. Get her. I could tell she was a little slow. She wanted to talk about people that, like she was in maybe her 40s, maybe older than that. But she like one of them people that prides herself out of, that job she got. She prides out of that job. She prides herself for that job. Like that's the highlight of her life. But she took that very, very seriously. And it was a very weird situation. I didn't want to say, I don't want to get all I didn't want to get all agitated or nothing, but I was just like, get this woman, man. I got a job to do. I'm out here trying to get some money. I don't got time to sit here with this damn woman trying to protect a fucking McDonald's breakfast order. That was the dumbest thing. I was so dumb. But that's how some people are, man. You got to, then you got to realize, who you're dealing with. You can't lower yourself to other people's, standards. Like people, she wants to act that way, let her act that way. I know not to, first of all, I know not to engage with anything because I know it don't matter if I'm right or wrong. If I get in an argument with her or anything like that, that it's gonna look bad on me. The first thing they're gonna do is call law enforcement. And who law enforcement gonna talk to first? Who they gonna look at first? They gonna look at a 6'1", 250 pound black man, or they gonna look at a 3'7", 4 foot tall young Caucasian man, a Caucasian woman? Who they gonna look at first and see who the agitator, who started? They gonna come to me first. So to prevent all that, fair, unfair, that's the way the reality is. To prevent all that, just go ahead, whatever. Get my order away, get the hell on somewhere. And then got about my business, man. And I didn't, I talked to my wife about it a little bit, and we were discussing it. And I'm like, I'm glad you wasn't there. I'm glad you wasn't in the store. She rides with me. She rides with me doing DoorDash whenever she's not working. So I'm just glad that she was in the store. I mean, she was in the truck. That she did not decide to go into the store with me, because that could have been an ugly situation. Because she's very protective over her husband. Let me give her a shout out too. My lovely little pipes, Sandra Hill. She's my queen. She's it, and she's very protective. So I'm glad she wasn't there, because that could have been a very you know very trying, a very unusual situation. But I'm glad that cooler heads prevailed, and I was able to get out of that. But like I said, it's not anything face before in my life. I've always faced people, treat me a little bit, whatever, for either intimidation or, some of it's racism, some of it just intimidation, don't like me, or, assuming that, I'm a certain way just by looking at me without even speaking to me and stuff. So I'm used to it. I drove trucks all over the country, so a lot of times, there's a whole lot of time, more than I can count, that, I'm going into establishments, whether it's somewhere to deliver or pick up a deliver load, or it could be a grocery store, or it could be Walmart, or it could be a restaurant, it could be anywhere. Many times I have went places across this country, especially in so-called middle America, where I was the only melanated person in the facility. That has happened a lot for me in driving trucks in here, and it never faded me. It never fazed me. I've been in places where I know good and well, as soon as I left, they called me a nigga. I know that. I know it in my heart. I can see the people. I can see how they look at me. I know I don't know for a fact I ain't hear it, but I can tell by the way people look at me, and how I can tell what they said when I left out there. So it wasn't always like that, but I've been in them situations. I've been in, all corners of this country, like somewhere where there probably wasn't no black person within 100 miles. I still went in there, held my head up high, didn't care what anybody say. I've seen, been in places where the kids and people walk by and they're like, they ain't never seen a black person in their life. The kid looking like, Mom, they really doing this. Look. And I've seen people look at me like that. Little kids, adults. No. So it's it's all right. It's all right. It's something you have to deal with. All you can do is smile about it, man. You can't get mad over other people's ignorance. You can't get mad because, people weren't enlightened growing up. They were, grew up in, or were taught, a way of living, or a way to treat people that don't look like them. They were taught in a way that I wouldn't want to talk about. I wouldn't want to, I wouldn't teach my kid that. I'm gonna teach my children that, but there's people that were grown up in a way that was, that I wouldn't mess with, but which caused them to have a distorted view of people who look like me, for whatever reason, whether it was, fair or not. Most times it was not fair, because most of their opinions are based off of hearsay, stuff they've seen or heard from other people, not because of their actual experience with somebody that looks like me. And I've seen it up here in San Antonio too, and other places where, I might be, because I'm from North Carolina. I grew up where, people speak, people talk. If I come up to a stranger, whatever, we in the store, I come up and say, "Hey, how you doing, man? How you doing? Everything went all right with you?" and stuff like that. you know, and that's just how I grew up. That's just how it is now. I don't mind speaking to anybody, especially, anybody, I don't care. But, I see people like, wherever in a high rise building or in a grocery store, whatever, I see someone, I speak to them. And I can see some people reactions like, they're like shocked, like, especially like one day it was an older white man. He walked past me and then walked up on me and I spoke to him like, "What's up, man? How you doing, bro? You having a good day today?" And he was looking serious the whole when I walked up to him. And once I spoke to him and be like, "Hey, man, how you doing, man? You having a good day today, man?" His face lit up. He smiled. Like, "Yes, man. Yes, I'm doing good, man. How you doing? I'm glad you're doing, man. You doing okay?" And there was, stuff like that. So it's good, man, to see people. People might come into situations with a preconceived judgment about you without even knowing you. And sometimes it just takes a little dialogue to break the ice so somebody can see, hey, all this stuff I've been hearing ain't true. This person I seen right here, he was very, he was not, he was respectful. He was very, very well mannered, clean cut. He wasn't disrespectful or nothing. He respected me. I knew I was older than him, but he respected me, gave me the respect of being an elder because I respect my elders. I always respect my elders. I don't give a damn 51. If he's 52, I'm gonna respect him as my elder. You know. So even people younger than me, I call them. I say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. To show them, like I think I said this in previous shows. I do that. People who are younger than me, I say yes, sir, and yes, ma'am to them to let them know that you deserve that respect. You deserve that. So like I said, it's a thing. It's crazy, man. It's gonna be a challenge a little bit. You have to deal with people and their like preconceived judgments or notions about you and stuff. And sometimes it's hard to get past them stereotypes that people have about you sometimes, and it can be difficult. But like I said, stay true to who you are. You know who you are. You know what type of person you are. Don't let nobody else try to take you out of who you are as a person. You know, it don't matter if you the type of person that like to say hello and speak to people every day. Don't let this world out here get you out of that. Still speak to people even when they don't speak back. Cause I do it. I do it. And people don't. There are a lot of times people don't even speak back. My own brothers, people just like me. How many times I've spoken to people out there, and they did not. They look at me like I was whatever. Some people look at me like I'm a threat. I'm talking about people who look like me. Ain't talking about nobody else. I've seen people I speak and they don't give me the time of day. They whatever. And like I'm a threat to them or something. And all I'm trying to do is show love because we all out here in this same struggle. Every millionaire brother out here is in that same struggle. And all of them go through you know, I'm gonna say something. I think, I really believe this. I don't. I have no proof. I have no statistics. I have nothing but my own insight and what I feel. I feel like every black man in this country has that same fear whenever they see a police officer, either behind them, in front of them, beside them, or in the same vicinity of them. We all have that same fear. If we drive in a car and we see a police officer, we will be in the mirrors until that police officer is out of sight. And even when that police officer is out of sight, we still looking in the mirror. 'Cause you know why? We think they might have damn made a U-turn to come get us. No matter whether you could be wanted or you have no felon, nothing on your record. You still gonna have that fear in your head. Especially people my age, around my age, and older. Yes, you're gonna have that fear. You know, even though you haven't done nothing wrong, you still gonna have that fear. Like, man, no, this mother's gonna pull me, man. What in the world? What's going on? Because you never know. You never know because we at the mercy of somebody else, and you never know what these people be thinking, man. You never know what's going on in their head. So yes, we have that. Oh, yes, every black man have that fear. Has that fear or I ain't gonna say be that fear or put it so whenever a cop comes, you may not be scared, but your antenna goes up. You alert. You know where that damn cop is at all times. You know where it's at. You see that cop car and you look until that cop car is out of sight. Tell me you don't go through that. If they don't, and if you're a black man, you don't go through that. What do you think whenever you see, like when you driving? I don't care if they're on the other side of it. I don't care if you're on the interstate and you going northbound and the damn state trooper going southbound. Tell me you don't be looking at that cop, even when it's on southbound. You like, oh my God. Especially if they mess around, you go past you and you see some brake lights. Oh my God. You say, oh my God, please don't come. Please don't come. Please, please, please. Yes. And the thing to make your heart drop whenever like there's a cop coming up and they whatever, it's an emergency, so they got the lights on. You don't know. You see them lights, the first thing you think they come to you. But when they go past you, boy, that's the biggest yes. Even though you haven't done shit, you still relieved. That's just, that's just life. Life. That's just life for us in this country, man. And this is how things that we have to deal with and internalize, stuff that there's no handbook for, stuff that if you're not there and you don't experience it, you will not understand it. I remember way a long time ago during my very first marriage in the early 2000s. My ex-wife was black. She was a black woman, and I told her about what it was like living in this country as a black man, like stuff that we go through. And this woman, a black woman, told me that I was using that as a cop out. And that was very disheartening. But, that some people like that. Some people, there's a disconnect a little bit, where people don't, people think that what we say don't have no substance, or we make stuff up, or we exaggerating and stuff like that. And all I say is, if you ain't walked in these shoes as a black man, you can't comment on it. Nobody. You can't, because you don't know what it's like to feel this way. Waking up every single day, leaving out that door, with a mind sense in him. And I hope, I won't have to encounter the police today. Because you don't know that you don't know. There's been so many incidents where people haven't done anything and end up, losing their lives or losing their freedom because of something, So so like I said, it's a unique situation. Like I said, only few people like understand like what we go through and stuff, and it's real. People think it ain't real. People think we just make stuff up, but that stuff is real. Affects people. You know, Me personally, I don't. I try not. I'm not. I've had, every time I see, I'm out here doing the restaurants and all this stuff, and I see police officers. I see police officers, especially in the donut shops. It's real right here. They got a lot of donut shops around here. Boy, them cops be on it. But yeah, I did that. I see them. I see them a few. I see them like throughout, the time I be out here doing this, and I always take the time to speak to them. Just in case they have any, just to like, look, you know, I'm not whatever you think. Nah, I just speak to them, and I always tell them to be safe. out here in the world because even though we have uh, we have a challenging history with the police. We still need the police, to keep law and order, to keep the society running. We need the police around here, you know. But we just need, good police, not people out here taking advantage of, their job and their power and stuff. We need people that can provide trust that can give the community trust and stuff, and not look at them as enemies or the other. We always supposed to be on the same side here. So hopefully, things can open up as far as dialogue. People will be able to talk instead of just assuming stuff, man. Just keep this dialogue out, man, because it's gonna make sense that people judge you, before they even talk to you and stuff. They already done made it out that you're a criminal, that you did this, all because of how you look, all because of what you wear, and all because of this. They ain't said two words to you, but they already know about you. See stuff like that. That got to go, man. We got all these computers and all this technology and stuff, man. The one thing that's getting lost is human to human contact. The ability just to walk, just to, come up to someone and just have a conversation with them. That's a regular conversation, not even, just, hey, how you doing, man? How you doing? Talk about, reminisce about something, whatever, man. It's a regular conversation, man. Get out everything can't be about text messaging and, social media and stuff, man. Talk to people. Talk to somebody, look them in the eyes and see how they feel, or look them in the eyes and see, their emotions and see what they're saying and stuff like that, man. It's just, we got to get back to that, man. Don't, we got to learn how to connect like real connections, not just, not digital connections. We need to make real, authentic connections, and that's what, to me, that's what, the human experience is about. Just like making connections. Learning how to get along with someone that looks like you or someone that don't look like you. Learning how to, accept each other's differences and still live together in harmony. With some sort of harmony, man, you're not gonna get along 100%, man. No, that's not real. But at least being able to be civilized with each other, man. We got to get back to that, man. All this uncivil mess, man. We need to get past this because that's destroying us. That's destroying us from the inside out. So we need to get back to being able to talk to people, man. Being able to the kids being able to talk to the adults for advice, for wisdom, you know, and the adults being able to talk to the kids and trying to find out what y'all thinking, man. What's going on in this world? Because that's as us is when we get in our age, man, we need to talk to those younger people to find out what's going on, man, because they're the ones that's going to be in charge. We need to first see where their head is at, learn where their direction is at. And the same thing, the younger people need direction. So we need to provide that knowledge, Don't be afraid to provide that knowledge. I know it's harder in some areas than others because these young kids sometimes don't want to listen. I know that's a difficult situation right there. You know, it's hard to navigate through that. Many kids, they got so much information and so much access to information now. It's sort of like it's almost like stunting their growth because it's so easy to get to it. They don't have that. They don't appreciate, you know, gaining knowledge because it's there and they can get it so much. The same information that we used to go to we had to go to the library, go to a card catalog, pull up a card, pull up a card, take it to the librarian, get the book, sign it out, or read it in the library. Just check it out for a little while and bring it back. That's how we got information. The same information that we had to go through fucking security checks to go through. These people everybody now can get the same information while sitting on the toilet taking a shit. So I think in a ways that thirst for knowledge has dissipated because the information is so available all the time. It's like when it's abundance of it, people are not going, it's flood. The market is flooded. So why? It loses its value. People don't want to learn about, their past. They don't want to learn about, their legacy and stuff like that. They don't have a quest that they're like, okay, I learned it when I learned it. When I get around to it, let me go live for a little while. Let me go post this TikTok. Let me chat on inbox for a while. Then I might get around to it. See, that's what's causing, our history to be sort of like trying to get erased because we don't have that thirst to try to learn more. We don't have that thirst to try to, enlighten ourselves to make us a better person. Stop depending on somebody else to do the research for you. Look it up. You want to know about it? Look it up. Look it up. The information there, you gotta look it up. And that's what we got to get back to. Get back to doing. Reading, you know, like I said, reading, fellowshipping, talking, conversing, just human contact. Always come back to human contact, man. We got to learn how to talk to each other and not, talk through these telephones, man. We got to learn how to look someone in the eye and talk to them. Look someone in, look a loved one in the eye and tell you and say, I love you. It's easy to text somebody, I love you. Look the person in the eye and say, look, I love you. What's wrong with that? That's not hard. It's more heartfelt because you can look them in the eye and you can see their reaction and they can see your feeling when you say it. So, you can get back to that. I think we got a chance. Because these phones are addicting and they got, a smartphone, but they're making human beings dumber. And they're making us dumber and lazier. And it's affecting us, right? You got a damn president that's too lazy to do his job. He'd rather be out there tweeting, whatever the hell he's doing. He ain't Twitter no more. He out there, he's not on Twitter, man, X no more. He's on his own Truth Social. So he's up there Truth Socialing. But yeah, like I said, this it's crazy time we in. Like I said, I hope, I hope that the damage is not too bad that we can't come back from it. And I don't think it will be because we don't went through worse things. We went through a damn civil war, stuff like that. We don't went through a few things, so we definitely can deal with Donald John Trump and his minions. I mean, don't, like I said, presidents are temporary. And there's life after this administration. So don't let it get you too down. Just stay vigilant. Keep your voice heard. Keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Nobody ain't gonna change ain't gonna be made if you're sitting there not saying anything, saying, damn, I hope things get better. No, you have to say something. You don't always have to organize. It ain't about, some people can. If you can't organize, it's good. If not, just make your voice heard. Educate yourself. Read on what's going on. Say something. What I say, each one teach one. Teach your kids. Teach the young ones about what's going on, what's coming up. So that's how history moves on. Our history moves on because we educate our young ones. We stop educating our young ones, our history will die out. So that's what we got to do. It's our responsibility to, help educate because, even though you go to school for 13 years from K to 12 and some people go to college, you learning every day of your life. As long as you're alive, you learning something. So keep your brain healthy, keep your brain working, just learn stuff, just have a thirst for knowledge, 51 years old and I still got a thirst for knowledge, man. I'm learning stuff that we should have been taught in school that we wasn't. If I go, like, for instance, I was in the 40s when I found out about the Tulsa massacre in 1910, I forgot, 1919, somewhere like that. 1919, I think it was something like that. I think it was that summer. That was a bloody summer where a lot of lynches and a lot of violence against my people happened that summer. But I never learned about none of that. I never learned about the Tulsa Massacre. Like I said, we learned about Rosewood through a movie. We didn't learn about none of this stuff, man. We didn't learn about any of this. So I was glad I got a thirst for knowledge and learning about, different things that we did to, persevere. Things that we did to, keep our, self, vigilant. This strive for freedom, this strive for daggone equality and stuff, which is still going on. So like I said, it's good that I'm, always learning, still learning what's going on, still learning like our past and learning about different things and how we were treated and things that we went through and stuff, and still here. So, we take pride of that we went through all this stuff and we still right here. How many people could have gone through what we went through and still be here strong? Strong. Yes, we get fractured sometimes. Yes, we get discouraged. Yes, we do some crazy stuff sometimes, but we still right here strong. The most admired and the most copied people on this planet. We still right here. And we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. I had somebody talking, just because I sit up here and talk about, how I love, my color, how I love my people and stuff. I'm not saying it to say I hate anybody. I don't hate no race or nothing. I take people by individual basis. Not gonna do what they color is, how they treat me, how they respect me. You respect me, we good. I don't care what color you is. You can be fucking blue like the damn Navi on Avatar. Or you can be green like fucking Shrek. I don't care. You can be blue like Yondu and the damn Kree on the damn MCU. I do not care. If we good, if you treat me good, I give you respect and we good like that. But because just because there's things that's happening in this country that are irrefutable, that were racist and everything, but the fact that I speak, you know, I get it every chance I get it because I speak on it. Don't mean I hate white people, but I'm gonna be able to call you out for the stuff that you did. Don't act like you ain't did nothing. Don't act like that y'all that no nothing was done. That's what pisses people off. Okay, no, you didn't do it. You aren't responsible for what your ancestors did, but acknowledge what your ancestors did because that's not you. But you can acknowledge it. That because you acknowledge it, don't make you a racist. Don't make you them. I still can't understand what they did. That was messed up. But I'm not that person. I'm trying to be enlightened and trying to make sure that me and my family and my people don't make the same mistake again. That's what you want to hear. Some accountability from everybody. Us too. We need to be accountable for what goes on in these damn streets and stuff. We are killing each other and stuff. We need to stop. Get out that damn gangster mentality, man. Because that ain't getting us nowhere but in the damn cemetery and in jail. How long? When is it gonna stop, man? When we gonna get tired of getting locked up? When are we gonna get tired of filling these damn prisons up? Educate yourself. Yes, we're in a system that looks at us differently, but still, educate yourself. Educate yourself. You can control that. You can control, the flow of information that comes into you. With that being said, I'd like to thank y'all for coming here today. I'd like to thank y'all for, spending a little bit of time with me today, doing a little bit of self-reflecting, talking about a little bit of things, like I said, whatever, I don't go in here with a preconceived judgment of what I'm going to talk about. It's just what I'm feeling. Sometimes it might be the same thing. Sometimes I might talk about a few things. I might talk about one topic and I might go off and talk about a few. It is what it is. Like I said, but I'm always going to be honest with you. I'm always going to be real with you. I'm always going to come at you with the facts, with the facts. And if I'm wrong, please, I will, I am not above being corrected. If I'm wrong, let me know. We shouldn't talk about it. If I'm wrong, I say I'm wrong. I'm not being corrected. We agree, it's good. We disagree, we agree to disagree. That's okay. I'd like to thank y'all for coming here today. I appreciate you. I appreciate you when you come. If you can't catch me live, you can catch the video. I appreciate you. I appreciate it because that's what I'm here for, just to help people out, just to help, those who are in need. Like I said, maybe I just need it for myself too, so I can, maybe this is some sort of, maybe this is sort of like a self healing, sort of, some mental therapy. You see a lot, riding around, you hear a lot of voices. I hear a lot of voices, but you don't be thinking about things in your head and stuff. And sometimes I'll be out here driving, you don't have nobody to talk to. So sometimes it's just like sitting up here just talking because I have things in my head I want to talk about. I was on the road driving trucks, had a lot of things in my head to talk about, but really couldn't say nothing because I was always working and busy. So now I'm glad I'm able to, get up here and just, express what I need to say. Like I said, and I hope y'all feel me. If you don't, I hope I can. I hope I can, get your attention or get your eyes or your ears or your brain, get you to come back. There's something I can say that can get you to come back. And like I said, we'll do this. I'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll be here tomorrow. We'll do this again. Same old thing. Ain't nothing thing. It's me, you, this camera, and facts. I try to smile, even though sometimes the world is against me. I try to smile. It's funny too, because people, whenever they see me, I be serious. I be like, that's my focus look. I be like, and they be like, damn, it's okay, smile. And then when they see me smile, they're like, okay. Yeah, it's just my folks. That's what I look. I walk around smiling all the time, but if you speak to me, I'm gonna smile. So yeah. That being said, I'd like to thank y'all for coming out. Again, I'm gonna thank y'all for coming out, and I will check y'all out tomorrow. Like I said, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, get the notification, let you know when I'm coming up here. If you can't catch me live, catch me up here. Come on my page, look at the videos. You can catch up. You can see what I'm about. See about this realness I'm about. Realness and honesty. Like I said, kiss your kids, kiss your loved ones, because you never know. It might be the last time you got to. It might be the last time you're able to. So cherish your moments with your loved ones. Cherish your moment with your kids and your family and your friends. Cherish them. Because you never know. You never know. I love y'all. I will see you tomorrow. And y'all have a good evening.